And so this, what happened recently, is it occurred to me that the way we experience time, to a modern human, whether you're 16 or 66 or 96, we experience time, as you know, as a Buddhist, moment to moment. It's a moment to moment fragmentation that happens like you in geometry when you build a line. A line is a locus of points. A line is not a thing in itself. It's a construct of minuscule points in space. And remember, points aren't, they're a location. A point is a location. It's not a thing. When you make a dot on a piece of paper, that's not a point. We use it that way, but that's a dot. That's different than a point. A dot is a thing, and it's located somewhere, and that's a point. It's a location. So it's interesting that for our modern minds, being surrounded by science and technology all the time, we sort of just, we've evolved to kind of just take that for granted. We think that way. Even if we don't dissect it that far, Buddhism certainly does. That's very different than what 2,700 years ago people thought, or 1,000 years ago what people thought. The idea that we see time as linear, as this thing that happens over a space of distance, a time. But we know now that that's not accurate, that time is a continuum, but even the word continuum has changed. See, continuum sounds like a solid trajectory, but it's just these minute locations one after another. And that's so important for us to understand when it comes to Buddhism. Because if you really think about that, this moments, really to say this moment is inaccurate. Because in the time it takes, the distance that it takes from me articulating this moment is actually innumerable moments, one after the next. They just all sort of transfer. Think of it like, see, something you didn't have 1,000 years ago was a modem or a data connection on your telephone, on your cell phone, your smartphone, or your computer, right? Even if you're 86 years old right now, like my mother, she understands that there are ones and zeros in there. She has no concept of how that works. She just knows that her computer does stuff for her. But if you talk to her about, not a database, but even a database or an array of numbers. She thinks in terms of the only thing she's had exposure to in her modern life as a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. She puts numbers in place and formulas, and she understands all of that. But what she can't drill down to that level of packets of ones and zeros arranged in groups of 8 or 16 or 32 that are sent to your cell phone and assembled in your cell phone to make a pixel of a big picture. Like when you watch television, that signal is actually billions of signals being sent in chunks, encoded and decoded at either end, to then assemble into a mess of electrons to give you something that resembles something so that you can see it as something, right? I mean, this minutia of thinking. We tend not to think that way. We tend to think in general sweeps of information, right? But if you talk to a physicist or a chemist or a nuclear chemist or even a biologist, When you start talking, and we throw around the word DNA and genetics, as these huge, they are huge, huge, large concepts that we abstract as a thing, but truly, when you start digging into them, they're made of such minute, discrete things that science is still trying to dig into foundational stuff. So if you think of thinking that way, if you think of memory that way, if you think of self that way, the constructs that we have on this very high order of I or stuff or DNA, we're starting to dig into it. That if you could dig into the minutia deep enough, your understanding of what stuff is, self is, ego is, car is, this desk, this video is, there would be scarcely any difference, because foundationally, moment to moment, this assemblage of energies at a very high level is what we think our experience of life is. Stay with me here, because this is core Buddhism. To make the statement, perfect understanding of past, present, and future, doesn't happen in the past, it doesn't happen in the future, it doesn't even really happen in the now. It is happening from moment to moment. And try to wrap your head around that in a way where each moment you are thinking with this human brain and human mind that this is a moment is actually tens of thousands of moments assembling into something that we cognate. And now for a moment, think of reaching a point in your awareness, in your awakening, in your Buddha-ness, where when we say this moment, our Buddha-ness actually conjures the unfathomable amount, uncountable amount of energies manifesting, manufacturing this experience of the now. Then the past and the future, they're irrelevant as labels, because the past and the future are occurring in this assemblage of moments. Because this moment, it reflects the previous moments and is remember I say motion all the time, right? Is kinetically, momentumly, made up a word, experienced in this moment. We are constructing actively the next moment. So past, present, and future all take place in this exact, precise, minute fury of activity of this moment to the next, and from the past moment to the next. It all happens right now. Right now, right now, right now. To be able to think in that way, now I finally understand perfect understanding of past, present, and future. I understand it conceptually, I should say. But to operate with that awareness, that seems truly amazing to me. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about our Buddha-ness, reaching that stage of this roiling mass of energies in and around us, because it's all self, right? Actively assembling, manifesting, and projecting our momentum, our perception of the very momentum of life that we have a unique lens to. That's just so immense.